tag number. It could be a door tag. You know, when we done the leaders with the balloons on the power strip, those are blocks with attributes. But there's a lot more power to it than just variable text. Think of it as a graphical database. I can go in and extract out every computer in the office, and along with that, all of the data associated with it, the inventory number, the cost, who has it checked out, who's the manufacturer. All of that information can be added to a block. So it's kind of like a database. Some of that information will be visible on the drawing, others will be invisible, where you can go in and actually make that invisible and then just extract it out to a table. So does anyone have to track equipment? Like inventory or anything like that? Okay. See, blocks with attributes may be a useful tool. Now, especially if you've got to put it on a table, because with the table feature, with the extraction feature, if someone adds new computers to the drawing, it automatically updates the table. Or if they remove a computer, it's removed from the table as well. So we're going to go in and look at several ways of using these blocks with attributes. And the easiest way to do that is actually start with an existing block, and then we're going to add information to it. So in this drawing, I want you to open up, just double click on one of your chairs, and that will load up the block editor. The tool we're going to use to define an attribute is listed up here on your ribbon. It's called Attribute Definition. So when you click on that, you're going to see this dialog box. There's a lot of different modes over on the left side. Some of them to me are obsolete, like constant and verify. Preset, we really don't use those that often. We mainly use invisible, multiple line, and then maybe lock position if you don't want it to move. An attribute tag is the field, the database field name. Okay? So let's say you wanted to know the manufacturer. You can create a field. For the manufacturer. Tags cannot have spaces in them. Okay. The prompt is the message to the user to tell them what to type in. So it could be the same thing. And then do you want a default value? Okay. Let's say you get 99% of your chairs from Steelcase. Because that's the only manufacturer I can think of right now for commercial. It could be Ashley or something like that. So that's the default value. Now this is going to be an invisible field because I don't want it printed on the drawing. So I'm going to go over here and check invisible. And then this is like the text command. So where do you want to place the text? Do you want it left justified? What style you want? What size you want? This is going to be annotative. So I'm going to specify on screen. So I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to place this on the chair somewhere. So that's a little small, but it's going to be invisible anyway. So now if we go in and add another one, we can go up to define attributes. This one's going to be date purchased. And I'm just going to leave the default value blank. I wish they have an option where you could click on it and it pops up a calendar, but it doesn't. Now, once you start adding attributes and you want them stacked below each other, there's an option that says align below previous attribute. Click on OK, and it just places it below that. We're going to do one more just for practice. We're going to call this cost. Now, whenever you do numbers, do not put a $ or anything, because we want the table to be able to add this information up. I'm going to say $199.99. And click on OK. Well, I probably should have lined it directly below the other one. The nice thing about these attributes, if you want to use the same attributes on different blocks, you can copy these to your clipboard, go into another block and paste them, and you've got the same attributes on those. So once you have these created, then you can go in and save the block, go up to Close Block Editor, now, if you double click on the block, this one goes into the block editor, which means it doesn't have attributes yet. All you did was redefine the block with attributes. Now, if I go up here to insert the chair, it will actually ask me for that information. So you'll see the default still case. I'm going to change that to Ashley. Date purchase 10/1/1969. It's an old chair. All right. And add that information to the chair. Now, if the block has attributes and you double click on it, it actually loads up the attribute editor. So, like I said, this chair doesn't have blocks yet. That's why it loads up the block editor. We have a tool called Batman that allows us to go in and basically edit our attributes. We can also resync these or update our blocks with attributes. So up on your ribbon, under Insert, you have a section for blocks. You have the Define Block tool, you have the Manage Attribute tool, which is Batman. And then under Block Definition, there's a tool called Synchronize. Once you add an attribute to a block, we basically have to update all of the blocks. So it's called ATT Sync. We do Synchronize. It says select or name. I just want to select a block. I'm going to select my chair. It says, do you want to ATT sync the block chair? Yes. And then what it does is applies the attributes to all of the blocks using the default settings. So if I go there and double click on this chair, you'll notice now that it has attributes using the default values. Up on your ribbon underneath block, there is a visibility setting. Most of your attribute command starts with ATT. This one's called ATT display. So there's 3 different settings. Retain basically means visible is visible, invisible is hidden. Or I want to display all attributes, and then it displays that information on the drawing and you can print those. Or you could say I want to hide all attributes, visible or not, they're hidden. So you've got 3 different settings. Normally we use the retain, but for this case I'm just going to make them all visible so I can see them. And I should probably make them a little larger, but for this example that's fine. For visible text, you really need to be concerned about the text height to make sure it's visible and everything. So if you wanted to go in and edit this block with attributes, you can double click on it. It loads up the editor, and you can change the name. A la date purchased. This is a newer chair, we bought it in 1974. Cost $67. You can also go in and change the text information about that one block, okay, not the whole thing, just that one. Or you can change the properties of it. So now every chair in my building has attributes. So you can go in there and edit those. On page 6-7, it talks about editing multiple attribute values. We have a command called find and replace. Basically, if you type in find, with the find command, you can go in and tell it to replace, let's say I want to replace Smith Brothers.